You ready, Tom? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
We call the Plain Township Board of Trustees December 11th meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all. We have the agenda before us. Do we have any corrections, additions, deletions?
I'm just gonna, under concerns of trustees, stock update and Stark County Township Association, number 2.
Anything else? The agenda will stand then as edited. So the first thing is the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of pending warrants in the amount of $285,488.95.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
I'll move on fiscal officer number 3.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report for the month of November. If anyone has any questions, I'll be available after the meeting. Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize payment to members of the Plain Township Boards of Zoning Appeals and Zoning Commission for the period of July 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018 at the rate of $50 per meeting for a total of $2,000.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That concludes the Fiscal Officer report.
Thanks, Tom. And it takes us to the administrator.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to approve the renewal and authorize payment to Leads Online for the Leads Online Power Plus service package in an amount not to exceed $2,364 for half of the invoice.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
This is what, our third
Third year
year
with
or
the
4th year
leads.
using this,
Mhm.
guys?
The nice thing about this is we've had our officers go to neighborhood association meetings and explain the citizen initiative on this, where you can log in up to like 100 items with their serial number, a description. So if anything is stolen, it helps to find those. And I know that you all use it a lot when there's a theft and maybe it's sold to a secondhand store or a gold shop or a pawn shop, and has really helped. And the nice thing is, it is a split between the sheriff's office and our department, which has been great.
Sure. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2, I'm going to turn over to Eric Haynes to give an IT update.
Can we get Tommy under swear?
I know, we need him.
We have
I got to fill in for somebody at the department head meeting, so this came up. We do have a secondary server. Obviously, everybody's aware that for a primary server, we had some problems back in the summer. We obviously resolved those problems, installed a new server. We did buy a secondary server. It's a machine that doesn't have the same capabilities as our primary production box, but it's fine for backup. We imaged our current box, mounted that image on the server, and actually moved it down to Central Fire Station, and that's where it's at now. So in the event that we had a catastrophic failure in this building to where there was nothing salvageable, we would be able to bring up our image And we're gonna probably maintain, at least a 1-week backup routine where we'll move the backup off-site from on-prem here to on-prem down there. But we did actually test that. We were able to bring up our server. It acted just as it did down here. We didn't have our voice over IP phone system restored on that server because that's a secondary server that we have on-prem here. But I talked with ABC about making that a non-secondary server and actually inputting that software on our production server so that we could have our voice over IP. So if we did have a catastrophic failure, we'll be in relatively expeditious return or recover to production again. Any questions from anyone?
Well, that's been a huge project that we've wanted for years and years and years, prior to Eric coming on, and he knew that was a priority, and it's a tremendous backup system that we now have, and hats off to Eric because we now have it in place.
We're also
So-
talking about, and I've got a piece of hardware on order, having some difficulty getting it acquired, but it's what they call a cradle point. And the cradle point we would install at the central fire station. And what that cradle point would do, would allow us to jump on the LTE network, Verizon's LTE network. So if we had a catastrophic failure with our fiber optic line, which provides our broadband, which we rely on for our off-prem email and obviously internet and all those type of things, if we had a situation where we didn't have that fiber line, we would be able to engage that cradle point and then jump on the LTE network. So as that we would be able to restore, most of our productivity, email and web access and that type of thing. Any questions?
Thanks.
Good job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
awesome. Item number 3 is just for discussion. As you're all aware, we had a grant through the Solid Waste District for our yard waste on Easton. It was the first time that they've done it this way. We had this grant. This year was going to be our learning year to see really how far we could go with the grant, and we have made it until this point. We have stopped having Earth and Wood haul until I could get your feeling on what you'd like to do, because we could continue to have them haul out for the rest of the year, but that funding will come from the general fund. And we would be okay, funding wise with that. The other alternative is to wait until next year when we get our disbursement and then have them come get the items, and it would come out of our new budget. The issue with that, though, is to take a chunk out of the new budget, we won't get as far as we did this year. There are some changes that Joe and I talked about that we think we can implement that will maybe help next year. I also emailed David Held from the Solid Waste District, sent him the pictures of what we look like now, requested any extra funding, knowing that Jackson and Perry weren't participating in the grant. They said they do not have extra funding. We will get the same amount next year. So I'm just
It's interesting to know I would love to know what they did with that funding, because it's not like it just magically disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know. So my concern is if we take from next year's budget, we won't make it this far, and we can either close early or, it doesn't help to lessen days, because even when we were at 2 days,
Correct.
we're getting the same amount.
Correct.
So just the guidance on general fund picking it up, and hopefully to make some changes that get us further next year, or we wait and take it from next year.
I think we're definitely gonna have to make some changes for next year,
Yeah.
for a number of
Mhm.
reasons.
Mhm.
No different than we're gonna, we're looking at taking different actions because the general fund cannot sustain those
Yeah.
hits.
Mhm.
We were told at least this year and next year, third year being uncertain, I really think we have to ratchet down on what the accessibility and availability is, not only for the sake of controlling those expenses a little, even more so, but really in trying to start to, what do I want to say, get people acclimated to the fact that the service is becoming less and less. And I know there was talk, I was made aware of down at the county that Plain Township's cutting this out. It's not Plain Township, it's the Joint
No.
Solid Waste District. I think we need to start preparing people for the potential that it's
Yeah, but I thought
going away. But as
initially,
far as for this year,
It's tough
Do we
leaving
have
it
any
there.
idea, do we have any type of idea what type of expense
Well,
we're looking
That
at?
would be my question.
As close as I can figure, you probably have 400 yards sitting down there right now, which is equivalent of 100 loads
And we're charged per load.
that are
It's
sitting
based
there,
upon tonnage, right?
No, it's by load. It's
So-
by the load.
which is usually a 40-yard load.
Mhm.
I mean, even now when it's open, they're still coming in, and we're just piling it up higher and higher.
My issue is also a stormwater concern with the EPA leaving it there, knowing it's gonna rain, snow, runoff. But-
I think we'll be all right until it gets warm again. If it's sitting
Yeah,
there.
the minute it
So,
gets warm.
it's $275 a load, isn't it?
No, it's 140.
No, it's 145.
14,500.
Plus, we haven't received the, I'm gonna say, just round it close to 20. Because they had been hauling until we told them to stop, so I know some more is
We
coming.
didn't realize it when we stopped
Can we
as soon as they said.
Can we use half? Make a $10,000 out of the general fund
We
and the
might be
rest
there.
until
Now. Because they
that
kept
first
hauling.
disbursement, or we get,
That would get rid of some of what's down.
No, it may get rid of, because they haven't let us know how many they hauled out till we stopped, so.
So we still have
Yeah, we.
pending issue.
Mhm.
We have a count, but Lisa didn't receive an actual invoice from
No.
them.
Not yet.
My guys count them as they load them, so
Mhm.
we have a ballpark figure. So,
Yeah.
and for the last 2 weeks, they've been sending semis down there, they've been loading down there, hoping that that's the same charge as the dumpsters.
So we start fresh next year, we don't have that on our, worry about that.
And next year, I figure maybe we don't open until the end of May. 'Cause
Yeah.
We pushed it already, it's, and then, our one department won't get reimbursed for all their time and expenditures down there. And we close, Thanksgiving. We can't
Well, we
afford
can't
to
do anything about what's already there.
Yeah, can't do, no.
It's not like we can stop anybody.
No, and we were so close,
So-
we didn't know, and we were so close.
Yeah.
We were close.
we do like an open burn practice or anything?
Doesn't the fire department need training on a
Training
big
block
mulch
down
fire?
Hey, we got
Like
source
burning gas.
That's creative, but no.
Against the law, darn it. If you want to think about it, I don't have a resolution, I mean, you're already
But you ain't
can
gonna that
pay
off
it.
our head next year.
So what are we looking at as far as Christmas tree drop off?
Well, we had said there's Christmas tree
The
drop off.
Christmas trees have just slowed down a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
and the guys
But
chip
I
them.
can chip those.
Alright.
That's not a big deal.
I'll throw them through the
Yeah,
chipper. and
alright.
it's just-
Yeah, that's not an
a
issue.
big
Do we have anywhere that we can actually use those chipping?
Oh, I bet.
Once,
You could.
Well,
I
you-
mean, could
Back up in
use
the
them, but
woods
they're
and
not
so forth.
treated,
Right.
you could get ants and
Yeah, you're-
stuff
it's
that
gonna
put
create
them
a
around
big
your
problem.
property. If you
Yeah.
use them out
Yeah,
by
that's not
purpose,
something you wanna
we
use.
could-
well, I'm just,
Any element.
and don't jump, or don't shoot me on this yet, Al, but like back in the woods where, Mr. Forshone's benches up in there, the picnic table, I mean, could we use chippings back up
Oh,
in there?
that
'Cause
Girl
it's
Scout
not that,
area.
Yeah,
could
Girl
use that.
that's sort of where I'm thinking, not necessarily.
I think you could.
Around
Not that by your resident house or.
Yeah,
But
but
what about that empty field we have in phase 2 of our park, that whole, you can just disperse it all through there
just
and
put all the
just
yard
go
waste
all.
back there. Just
God, you
kidding.
know,
Yeah,
if
that's
you
that
put
person once, got
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need the sheriff's office
Yeah, we can
anymore.
leave.
Yeah, and the fire chief.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, you could use it in the parks. There's that big Girl Scout area that's heavily wooded, you could put the chips in there, but the chips aren't the issue with what is
Yeah.
sitting there now.
So worst case scenario would be, we close it so that we don't get any more accumulation, but we do it in such a way that we give notification.
Yeah,
You
So
close that
obviously-
now, there's still people doing leaves,
but
they're not done.
we still have that pile sitting
Yeah,
there.
I think we gotta get rid of that pile.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with it.
But I don't wanna see the general fund on the hook for anything more.
Well, Joe can pay for it.
Well, we'll start fresh next year.
We've already paid for all the labor. The
Yeah.
fire can pay for it, it's on his property.
Yeah. Joe, that may have been the smart thing that you brought up.
All right, so let's do this,
I see.
maybe, let's just research what kind of a problem would be created with that staying there. If we find out that We have to have that eliminated. We don't have a choice.
I'll call Keith the list.
You know, when we were loading and loading and loading, we were starting to get into some of the older stuff before this past week.
It's got to
And it was
start
smoking already.
Oh,
It
yeah, that's a
starts,
problem.
you know, that's
Smell
the
of
heat
heat.
starts
Well, the amount
smoking.
of, the amount of heat.
Right.
It's creating heat in there, no
Combustion.
matter what the temperature is outside, so.
I see.
Well, then microorganism decomposition,
Mhm.
Just start fresh next year. That's-
one
All right,
time.
let's think about
One
it,
time.
but in the
Okay.
meantime, maybe just,
Think about
Yeah.
it. Well, Joe and I will think
Yeah,
about
we
it.
got
Get those
shut down from
answers
hauling
and,
out, so we're all right.
maybe calculate, come up with a rough estimate of what the
Yeah.
cost would be and
Okay,
All right.
we can do that.
And then item number 4, I'm gonna turn over to our Parks Director to present, knowing that the funding, though, however, is coming out of the general fund.
So item number 4 is a resolution, authorize purchasing payment of a couple of growth blankets for field turf. An amount not to exceed $10,094, taken from Fund 01B05E.
So moved.
I'll second it.
been moved and seconded, discussion.
How many total growth blankets do we already have?
We have quite a few, but it doesn't nearly cover the need.
They do their job, don't they?
They do their job immensely.
Well, and let me say this, Diamond is the park that brings in funds, and there are these spots that do really need the growth blankets, and if you don't do it, and we don't have great fields, down will go the bookings and the funding, so.
Didn't we use it, haven't we used them in the dog park before?
We actually
Yes,
moved
as a
over.
matter of fact, we have.
Because that dog park is, you know, taking a whole week, and we need that to.
We tend to utilize them where and when we can. The primary usage, of course, is the,
Are they hard to store and take care of them?
no, we just fold them up neatly and put them
Are they?
away, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had ours now for, the first ones we bought, I think I had at least 4 years old.
But these ones are much larger ones that we're looking at.
They are bigger.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Anything else? Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator report.
Thank you. That takes us to Fire Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the reimbursement not to exceed $400 for healthcare membership, provision 37 of collective bargaining agreement for Eric Cady.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment to Wenger Excavating from Plain Township Fire Department for their portion of the sewer extension project on Market Avenue North to connect the Stark County Sewer to 7858 Market Avenue North, and not to exceed $114,000 be taken from 21A02K.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. It's a project
Yeah.
long coming.
Man,
So
chief, you took
they're,
that project.
they're making progress. We're probably two-thirds, well, I'll go half the way to, up towards the building.
What a project.
I know.
Uh,
Yeah.
Getting there.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to secure the structure at 2310 Harmon Avenue Northeast, according to Ohio Revised Code 505.86.
I'll move on. FD number 3.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. It's just a
Yeah,
normal thing that we do when we get these complaints, and we have to follow the process.
We had a structure fire there, and they have not secured it for over a year here now, so we're,
Yeah. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
thanks, that's all fire department.
Thanks, Chief. That takes it to the road department, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I only have one item tonight. Back in March, we had requested that the Stark County engineer do a traffic study on Firestone Road between 55th and Snyder Road, and it came back warranted to reduce the speed from 55 mile per hour to 50 mile per hour. At this point, It would be the only 50-mile-per-hour road that we have.
You'd be right
in the
back on this
township.
time.
I have a resolution that the board needs to sign, and I gotta send back, which will then go to ODOT to actually give us the okay to post it at 50 miles.
I still, doesn't that seem high still at 50?
Well, the problem is, there's only one home on that stretch, two driveways, one to the school, and on the west side, there's nothing there but railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Just
You
still
don't have
seems-
many ingress or egress points.
Right.
So,
I might get a
Well,
car,
let's
go
go
drag
let's
race.
go over and try that.
Right now, it's 55.
Leave the sheriff here while we go drive.
Can I go break in a car there, what, start, I can go 55, 60, break it in.
You're gonna be lucky to buy that seriously by the time.
I didn't hear
I can't hear you.
So we don't have, yeah. Good answer. We don't have a resolution. then?
Yeah, you actually have a
It's like
resolution.
these kids talking
to-
nonsense, I'm just gonna choose to ignore it.
To pass, to sign, and then we'll send it to ODOT, and then we'll have another resolution when ODOT sends it back.
All right.
So,
I will then move on the resolution before us based on that speed study for
Second.
Firestone between 55th and Schneider. It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Joe, I know you didn't have this, but thanks for the efforts over there on Butler. I know there was some messaging I was getting through online next door, and actually, out of all the folks that Greg and I provided detailed information back to, they seemed to be quiet, and I had 2 or 3 folks that said thank you for making the
the
effort.
reimbursement guy, thank you. Want to
No,
reimburse for his
no, I'm sure they
gas?
probably still, that extra quarter, half mile around,
Yeah.
but
And they're gonna top coat that in spring?
Well, actually, I was talking to Eric about it. They're gonna start building here real soon. They got 30 lots there they're gonna build real
15 each
soon.
side.
We probably might make them wait, John, until the fall to top it while they're
Yeah.
bringing all that equipment in out of there instead of
Yeah,
damaging.
because that's all new roadway, right?
And then anything that's
For the most
damaged, go ahead and
part,
Yeah,
take care of
yeah.
it was all tore out, so
I think that would be a wise move.
So,
You know, if that was already existing, that would have a hard base to it, but,
right.
yeah,
So,
all right. Okay, thanks.
thank you.
That takes us to zoning, Mr. Ferrara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item on the agenda is a resolution to declare item A as a nuisance abatement.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And the second item on the agenda is a resolution to declare items A and B as nuisance abatement payments.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that'll be all for zone.
Thanks, Tom. That takes us to parks. Mr. Steinberg?
Thank you. Number one, just simply discussion. It's a Winterfest wrap-up. We held Winterfest last weekend on Friday evening. It was a big success, thanks to road, fire, admin, all the folks who came out and helped out with it. And it was very well attended. For once, we had decent weather. And I know that some of our vendors went home very, very, very happy.
Good.
The wood carver.
The wood
Yeah,
carver in
yeah.
particular, yeah.
Yeah, plus his customers.
Mhm.
Okay, just an announcement. Our town hall meeting for the Parks Levy, scheduled for February 19th at 6 PM, will be held at Avondale School in the gymnasium. So we'd like to invite all out to come out and see what we have to offer and what we're looking at.
You say 6 PM, bro?
And don't we have a Saturday date
Yes.
also? Can you
We haven't confirmed.
tentatively, just,
Yeah,
can you
that's
just,
right.
because I know,
It was on, it was on my calendar.
yeah, I know we, initially the dates you asked us about, and
They were 2 Tuesdays. We thought that the January one might be a little too early, so we were gonna circle back. And
So January 19th, or February 19th.
it's February 19th, January 19th, we're not doing.
can you just text me those, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tuesday.
And number 3, just want to make all aware, we had talked briefly in the fall about the idea of some new soccer programming coming in the spring to replace some business. I'm happy to announce that indeed, we have a date locked in as of April 6th. The Ohio North soccer people who put on our Bothwell Cup tournament will be sending down their brand new league, Ohio North Premier League soccer games. They're going to be using 9 of our 11 fields for the entire day on April 6th, and we are currently trying to finalize dates for early state cup rounds later in the spring that would actually take place after community soccer club is done, so roughly a 1 to 7 or 1 to 8 conversation on a Saturday afternoon, so none of our programming is affected.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. See them guys.
That's been a goal of Rob's for a
They
long
like
time.
it, they like that
Being
facility.
very humble, but that brings in some good funds
Yeah,
into the
they
parks
like that
department.
facility.
Mhm.
That's
And
awesome.
that's all for us.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Rob. Nothing from the wall director. That takes us to communications.
Thank you. The first communication is from Ken Groves on behalf of Kevin Shiplet at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thanking the entire road crew for their contributions and efforts regarding the Ohio High School Athletic Association football championships, where they posted the no parking signs on the streets in the township, and they appreciated that. Item number 2 is a thank you for the fire department from PAC 127, and you'll see a very cute picture of the little boy standing
Looks like they
with.
could crawl right into
This
the one of
is,
the
I know.
departments.
Look how tiny
And
they
they, what is really sweet is they signed, you can see their own names, they're learning how to print, and it's, thank you so much for having us and giving us a tour at the fire station. They've learned a lot. And item number 3 is an announcement about Coffee with a Cop on Wednesday, December 19th, from 8 to 10 a.m. at McDonald's at 6302 Market Avenue North. And those are always nice. We held one here before. I think McDonald's is a nice location for this one. And again, it's it's not a time for speeches or agendas like we held here. People come, talk to the sheriffs, the deputies, and with any questions and concerns. And it's also nice to get to know the deputies in the area. Is there anything you want to add about Coffee with a Cop?
Oh, you hit it right on the head.
Thank you very much.
Does it behoove us to have at least township representative down there too, in case any township issues outside of policing show up? I don't want to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
just from the collaborative
Chief
relationship.
Deputy said he was buying, beyond coffee, he was
Yeah.
like, you can get the pancakes and
First
sausage,
cup's
you know.
on me.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe some gift certificates.
yes, wow. Yeah. And then item number 4 is from, it came from the Plain Local School District, and it is the Ohio School Boards Association and Plain Local School District invites you all to attend the installation of John Halkias as the 2019 president of the Ohio School Boards Association on Saturday, January 12th at Glen Oak High School, 1801 Schneider Street. And it says program and installation at 1, reception on 2, and for the board, because this was sent to the board, there's an RSVP. So quite a big honor there. And that is end of communications.
Thank you. That takes us to public speaks. If there is anyone in the audience that wishes to address the board, please feel free to either come up to the podium or stand where you are. Give your name and address to the fiscal officer. Anybody in the audience? Are you here for a school project?
I am, yes.
What high school?
Jackson High School.
Oh, good. You
AP
have-
government,
Yes,
Tell you what, we've had
are you
one.
a
Yeah.
senior?
yes, I am.
Do you know Brady Sabana?
I do not,
Okay.
no.
Do you have any questions of us?
Uh,
You have something we have to sign, probably?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I have no questions though.
You have to
okay.
write a 2-page paper, right?
No, I have no paper. Just,
Show that you were here. Perfect class.
Wow, nice.
So, just for the record, you want
Different
to state your
class.
name, because if you want to demonstrate to your teacher that you were here also, this is videotape, so.
yeah, absolutely. You want me to stand up?
No, you can do it right from.
Okay.
Oh, you're on your
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
William Hugg, 6263 Wells Avenue, Northwest, Massillon, Ohio.
All right.
And you'll graduate this year?
I will, yes.
And what are your plans when you graduate?
I plan to attend either West Virginia University or the University of Cincinnati and major in sports administration.
Good for you. Good for you.
Very good.
Thank you, I appreciate
Well,
it.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully you've learned something.
I've taken in a lot, yeah, it's very
Good.
nice.
If you have any questions after, because you have a paper to fill out, or
Yeah.
you need some background, just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely,
Al,
thank you.
Just to think, if he would have showed up at the last meeting, he could have seen the second most efficient meeting in the
We had a quick meeting
Guys,
last week.
unfortunately, it's taken us about 40% longer than
Now that the president's back.
Anybody else?
Do you want a copy of the sign-in sheet also?
Was there you?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so that takes us to the approval of minutes, and
I actually
I will not be, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, concerns of trustees.
Just two things. Thursday night, we have our final Stark County Township Association meeting over at Skyline Pine. So if for some reason you hadn't responded, do that. And collectively, I know Mark Schaefer, Doug Baum, and I are looking for some guidance heading into next year. We're in this grind, we've been in this grind as an organization. You have certain meetings, or certain folks hosting the same thing year in, year out. And we're trying to find ways to make it more attractive to get folks to turn out and be value add. So, whether it's having Stark State host us on something to other locations, if you guys have ideas and suggestions, let us know as we try to put that together. And then, I was at the SCOG meeting last week, I think it was, on the 4th. Joe Concato announced that he's retiring. So Don Harpster is going to be taking over officially everything with the countywide CAD. From the sheriff's office, I can't think of, Derek Lloyd.
Yeah.
He had provided the update. 12 towers, all operational. Coverage testing was done in October 2018. And of all 1,300 grids, there's 99.6% coverage. Only 3 grids were considered inaccessible. Training with the centers is occurring. Week of December 17th, noted fire and police training. Then January 31st, 2019, shutting off the old system. So it's finally coming to full reality after all these years and all the efforts. Crime lab update. There was no backlog in the chemistry. There's a little bit in the firearms and fingerprints. Based upon analysis, there's about an 8% increase in caseload over 2017, and ultimately the executive committee, at the direction or recommendation of the sheriff, is evaluating the potential to start a toxicology function so they can reduce some of the delays that they're seeing through BCI and some of the private labs. So that's probably going to become a 2019 talking point, but just things to be aware of.
Truck radio hardware, we're up to speed on all
Yeah,
that, right?
everything, we're gonna.
Now, we have some we can't.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
And we just sent in all the paperwork with the administrator for the sheriff cars, our stuff to sign with Mark, radio lists, all that. Just, I'm sure the week of December 20th to the, and then the month's gonna be a little busy for B&C Communications. And Chief Deputy Oliver, I'm sure, is aware of all that stuff. It's gonna be a busy week for radio programmers, if you have any existing radios, so.
Oh, and speaking of, you said sheriff vehicles, we will be picking up the last new sheriff vehicle is coming in on Thursday.
Great.
So,
Great.
Friday. So do you want us, we typically would bring it here, and somebody gets it, or do you want, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, if we can talk about what we're gonna, is there a car that needs to come out, whatever we wanna do, that'll be good.
Thank you. Okay, now,
Can we take that cruiser across Firestone?
You wanna go test that 51?
You have to stand there with this people.
Yeah.
You can test radar guns there.
Yeah, that's right. So we have approval of the minutes for November 27th. I can't do that.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll
Best
call.
meter, you discuss your best meeting ever.
Yeah,
Rough driver.
you guys set me up.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
It's trending on YouTube as
We
well.
got the inner circle too with our wood carving.
We have a whole bunch of emojis with smiley faces. I know how that works. All right, so we do have a need for an executive session, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:34 PM from this regular meeting of December 11th, as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employee or official, 1B, employment of a public employee or official, and 1F, compensation of a public employee or official.
So moved. Or second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.